Welcome to the show, folks. This is Dime to Diamonds. We appreciate you joining us here today. My name is Jessica. I am, of course, joined by Suzanne Porsky of Phoenix Financial Group and Rochelle Harp of Harp CPA. Lots to talk about on today's show, but obviously, guys, July 4th, I want to wish you a very happy 4th of July. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Suzanne and Rochelle, welcome.
Well, thank you, and happy 4th of July, 250 years, celebrating a big birthday.
It's a huge birthday. It's so exciting.
Yes, lots of fireworks here as soon as it gets dark. I'm excited.
Yes, lots of loud noises. It's going to be a great time. Everybody's going to have some, hopefully, hot dogs, burgers, stuff like that.
Round two, first one was by the pool. Second one's going to be as the fireworks show gets started.
Well, just make sure everyone comes back with the same amount of digits that you went into the weekend with. That's all I ask when it comes to fireworks. Just be careful out there. So I hope everybody has a great time with that. But yeah, because you mentioned 250 years, first of all, can you imagine 250 candles on a cake, guys?
No.
I'm sure somebody's going to have one somewhere tonight, but...
Somebody's going to do it. Now, whether the cake melts or...
Who blows it out?
I know, seriously.
The fire extinguisher. I mean, that's
there
it.
There we go.
Well, again, this 4th of July hits a little different. America is celebrating its 250th birthday, of course, a milestone that reflects 2.5 centuries of independence and freedom. Many retirees, they're focused on a different kind of freedom, financial independence. So what does that truly look like in retirement, Suzanne?
You know, it's living with a greater peace of mind, I think, living a life that you've created over all the years of while you're working. You know, I think that's it. And, when you hit retirement, it's so different. People think financially they're preparing the entire existence of when they're working. But really, I don't know about you, Rochelle, I think the emotional piece, nobody realizes it. Nobody even thinks about that. And that, too, is really important. And everybody's is different. Some people want to go travel like they haven't traveled before. So that, yes, that is financially, but also emotionally. And some people are just so paralyzed emotionally, like I can't spend any money because it might run out.
Well, and I think it goes back to people don't always get to that point. They're so busy preparing and doing that, just like, with our country, there's many times we're focused on the problems today and not looking out towards the future. So it would be really interesting to get to go back and ask the founders and the different presidents and stuff along the way, could you have imagined that our country would be where it is today and be such a great place to be? And I think that's the same thing for the dream of retirees is until you're actually there, have you really sat down and thought about that and considered what does your dream look like?
Exactly. So listeners, if you've never had the kind of review on your retirement and what it looks like, financially and emotionally, this could be one of the most valuable conversations that you have. So give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about your financial future. What do you want it to look like in 250 years? Just kidding.
What do you want it to look like in 7 dog years?
Well, listen, 250 years, listen, if you're creating that generational wealth, you never know what you could create. But as you talked about here, it's also about looking forward, right? Understanding what those future expenses are going to be. And listen, we are all looking for that freedom, that independence, and certainly that financial freedom in retirement, especially after you've worked so hard, you've sacrificed, you've done everything possible to have the best retirement possible. If you're looking to have that financial freedom review, let's do that today, complimentary for our listeners. 918-890-8311. 918-890-8311. Don't forget to check out that website, guys, dimetodiamondsradio.com. We had a moment to catch up with country star Clint Black. He actually has a new memoir out called Killin' Time, My Life and Music. And when we spoke to him, he reflected on patriotism, of course, right ahead of America's 250th birthday.
Sacrifice. People sacrificed for it. Our founding fathers, they knew. They understood the issue at hand, and they understood the consequences of going against the King of England. So it's not a perfect union. It's not a perfect country. One of the things I notice is that people who root against their country or are not rooting for their country will root for a team of ball players before they'll root for their country. And I want to encourage all of you out there to think about that. If your home team is more important to you than your country, you might want to rethink it.
That's interesting. The idea that he spoke about here of sacrifice for a better future, it's not limited to history, guys. I mean, honestly, in retirement planning, there's got to be sacrifices that people may need to make today in order to give themselves more freedom later in life so they can live that red, white, and blue American dream.
Yes, and I always tell people, you get one life, you get one retirement. There are no do-overs. So if you're listening and you're within 5 or 10 years of retirement, or you've recently retired, or you're wondering if you're making the right decisions, we would love to talk to you, right, Rochelle?
100%. And I think it's even earlier than that, right? If you have questions about retirement in general, what it might look like, what you might need to start doing today, where you're at, I think this is a great opportunity to come and figure out where you stand. We talk about roadmaps all the time. Where you stand and how you want to get to where you want to be.
And some of our listeners, I want to shout out to you. Thank you so much for coming in here. Thank you so much for calling. What I've been seeing is if you're listening and you have a parent that need to get financially organized because you're going to inherit that. You're going to inherit all those properties or all that confusion. Come in here, introduce us. They might not listen to the show, but maybe bring them to lunch, right, Jess? Take them down to Water's Edge or downstairs to
That's right.
Main Street Tavern.
Absolutely.
And have lunch. Come up and see us. Set that appointment. And let's talk. Let's get them organized so then it's an easier transition. And then history doesn't repeat itself with chaos.
Correct. Well, and that goes back to that kind of sacrifice piece, right? It is an uncomfortable conversation anytime you have to have these. And that is the sacrifice piece, is to broach that situation. But I think that's one of the things that we do great, is helping people have some uncomfortable conversations just about what may be coming. Mortality is a real thing, and unfortunately, none of us are going to live forever, and that's just something that needs to be talked about. And
I think when our forefathers they went and battled and fought, they weren't just doing it for that day; they were doing it for future generations, and that's basically what we're asking our clients. Let's not just think about today. Let's think about the future generations. Everything you have built in your time, whether it's 50, 60, 70, 80 years of you living on this earth, working and saving and paying taxes, let's make it worth it. Let's sit down, organize everything you have, identify unnecessary risks, look for opportunities to reduce your taxes. That's a huge thing we've been able to do recently.
Yes.
And then build a written retirement income plan designed specifically for them, so they're actually living a life that they've dreamt about.
100%. And that creates that generational wealth that'll go from, grandkids to great-grandkids and just keep going.
Right. Exactly. One of the things I love the most is that binder that we have, the estate organizer, the deep breaths that people take, like, oh, and I go, everything's going to be in here. If you allow me to just kind of coach you and walk you through this, there's special tabs that I've had created for those binders. So when you come in, you bring your binder, we're adding to it, we're replacing, getting it updated. So it's always there and you're always organized. And we have these annual reviews that we're able to do that. And then, of course, if the children are involved, they know exactly what they're looking for if and when something happens, whether that is just maybe an unexpected health event, something like that. They know that that's there. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts that we give to our clients, but also that they give to their family. And so that organization, that written retirement income plan where everything has got a place and there's a place for everything, it really does just bring a greater amount of peace. And I've never had anybody take me to task to say it doesn't. And they couldn't, because I look at them, I look at their lifestyle, I look at their face, and I'm like, yeah, you're feeling good about it. It's all organized. It's just sometimes you think, God, I can't do this alone. How many times have you went to go clean your closet or garage, and if somebody comes along and helps, it just kind of lights a fire under you and you're like, okay, I'm not alone.
Yes,
that's what we do.
100%. Anytime that we were doing the house cleaning, it cuts your time in half too. So it's one of those, and you get to chit chat and time goes by fast. It's just a great experience.
Yes. And I like when I'm like, hey, these are all duplicates, like it's saying the same thing. And they're like, I'm like, the shredder, because we have the shredder there in the office. And they go, wow. I'm like, I'm going to even take these envelopes. You don't need those. And they just leave here a lot lighter.
Well, and the shredder is amazing. It's like almost therapeutic when you get to see something go and it's like destroyed. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Well, and again, as you talked about this binder here, making sure everything's organized and in place, this is also part of that custom financial needs analysis. And if you're listening right now and you're trying to figure out, well, what do I need? What do my finances need? What does my retirement need? Well, this is where this process comes in. You'll sit down with Suzanne one-on-one. Again, this is a custom detailed financial needs analysis built around you specifically and your numbers. That phone number, 918-890-8311. 918-890-8311. We'll do it complimentary for our radio listeners today. Again, July 4th, the perfect time to start finding that financial freedom for your retirement with this custom financial needs analysis. 918-890-8311. That website, dimetodiamondsradio.com. Coming up in just a few moments, the stock market. It's been on a nice run lately, but what does that mean moving forward? We'll talk about it. Stick with us.
Suzanne and her team at Phoenix Financial Group have a special invitation for you today. For the next 5 radio callers, they'll sit down with you personally and help create a custom retirement plan for you. It's complimentary and there's no obligation. Just call 918-890-8311. That's 918-890-8311. Together with you, Suzanne and her team will look at your investments, taxes, and perhaps most importantly, show you how your life's savings can create a dependable and sustainable income in retirement. Call today for your custom retirement plan, 918-890-8311, and online at dimetodiamondsradio.com.
And we appreciate you listening today. Get this, Suzanne and her team at Phoenix Financial Group have a special invitation for you today. For the next 5 callers, they'll sit down with you personally and help create a custom retirement plan just for you. It's complimentary and there's no obligation. Just call 918-890-8311. That's 918-890-8311. And together with you, Suzanne and her team will look at your investments, taxes, and perhaps most importantly, show you how your life savings can create a dependable and sustainable income in retirement. Call today for your custom retirement plan, 918-890-8311. That's 918-890-8311. And visit us online at dimetodiamondsradio.com.
Welcome back. This is Dime to Diamonds. We appreciate you joining us here today. My name is Jessica, joined with, of course, Suzanne Porsky, Rochelle Harp. If you have any questions, give Suzanne and the team a call. That phone number, 918-890-8311, 918-890-8311. That website, dimetodiamondsradio.com. You know, the stock market has been on a nice run lately. It's been nice to see, but there's a warning from history that might make investors a little cautious. The summer months and midterm election years have often been a rough stretch for stocks. And now many are wondering if we're going to see the same pattern this year. So what has history shown us? And how do you help clients avoid making the wrong move at the wrong time?
Jess, I think one of the biggest mistakes investors make on a whole is believing that they have to predict what the market's going to do next. History will give us clues, but it doesn't give us certainty. And I've seen people sell after the market falls because they're scared. You know, they miss the recovery completely. Instead of trying to predict the next headline, I'd rather have them prepare for it. And you and I talk about that, Rochelle. Let's be proactive, right?
Correct. Always about having a plan in place and sticking to the plan. You know, we talk many times about people making emotional decisions. Emotional decisions have permanent consequences. So once that decision is made, you know, there could be a tax impact. There could be just a loss of purchasing power because they didn't wait to let it recover and they just did it based off of how they're feeling today. But if they had a plan in place and they stuck to the plan, you know, it's highly likely we would have sat and just waited until it recovered.
I have seen emotions and greed ruin people's portfolio far more than any recession. You know, when you're in that emotions and panic or greed, this is it. I've heard from enough people that this is going to be the stock that's going to make me rich, and it doesn't. That has destroyed people's retirement and portfolios far more than what's happened in our economy. And that's the truth after many, many decades of sitting in this seat as a financial professional. That's what I've realized.
Well, it's really hard to bet on the one horse, right? So one horse wins and that piece. But if you have diversification and if you have a plan and you're able to stick to that plan, your whole portfolio is built to withstand all of that volatility.
Because what got them to retirement, it's not going to get them through retirement. I preach that every day. They'll come in and say, but I'm so used to looking at it and I'm so used to watching it. And I say this with the greatest amount of love. You're going to need to find another hobby.
Yep.
Because that's what was, and so when someone comes into our office, we stress test that retirement plan. And I ask them, what if the market falls 20% the year after you retire? Would your paycheck continue? If the answer is no, then that's a planning problem. That's not a market problem. I tell people it doesn't mean you have to stop playing in the stock market. You have, with the rule of 100, whatever your age is, you deduct that from 100. That's what percentage needs to have that zero floor, meaning you don't participate in any negative return. So for me, 40% of my portfolio could be that fun money of certain sectors that maybe have more volatility, but 60% needs to be what that paycheck is going to be counting on when I retire.
Which is just a proactive plan.
Yeah, right.
And,
right.
and then sticking to it, reevaluating when things get skewed, right? So maybe you put it in at the 40 and then it's grown, which is fantastic. That's what you want. Right. But if it's in the 60 range, then we need to rebalance.
Well, and I'm getting up to the 61 pretty quick here. Man, the clock just keeps ticking.
Time's not slowing down?
No, it's not.
Well, you mentioned, of course, here, having a plan, because if everyone had a crystal ball, life would be a lot easier. And there's no certainty within the market. It's up, it's down, it's sideways, you name it. You can't predict it, but you can be prepared with this stress test that Suzanne just talked about here. If you'd like to stress test your retirement, do that complimentary, but only for our listeners today. Again, 918-890-8311. 918-890-8311. DimeToDiamondsRadio.com. Before we leave this topic, guys, I want to focus on one thing here. Of course, this is a midterm election year, so a lot of folks may be banking on who's going to be in office, who's not. What do you say to folks that are waiting to see what the outcome is before they start making decisions?
Well, history does tell us that midterm elections, this summer, it is going to be volatile. But we also have so much geopolitical stuff going on right now. And with the interest rates, Congress just passing the housing bill last week, which I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. I think we're going to see some real positive notes come from that, really, because they're really incentivizing a lot of, different sectors. Like they're paying people to start making more houses. They want more on the market because if you I say market. If we go to the grocery store and there is a whole slew of bread, they tend to mark that stuff down because they want to move it. And I think that that's what our country is trying to do right now. It's on the president's desk to be signed is they want the inventory to really pick up so the cost of it does go down because the interest rates I don't think are going anywhere. So yes, midterm elections are in history, but I think we've got more than just that, Jess, going on right now. We've got, like I said, geopolitical.
And I would just tell listeners to stop procrastinating. If you don't get it on the calendar today, it's not going to happen. So put it on your calendar. Come see us. Let's have conversations. Because we're not trying to predict what may or may not happen. What we're really trying to do is design a plan that can withstand anything that does happen. And if we need to deviate that plan, we can deviate that plan and make the adjustments that we need to. But if we don't have a plan, we don't know what we're doing.
Right. Even if it's, someday I want to own a house or I want to help my kids get houses or I might be leaving a relationship that is not healthy right now, and I want to start making some plans. There's a safe place. It's us. I do want to say you need to call sooner than later because our schedule is very full, and there's only so much time in a day. But, I've had people say, oh, my gosh, I can't believe it's 2 weeks away that I have to wait. So call today. If you're listening and you're saying, you know what, I'm going to call one day and I need to get in there, do it sooner than later. Even if you have to put it on the calendar for August. We'll remind you and you can make time to come in. Retirement is very similar to making cookies or making right now a sourdough bread seems to be a thing. every ingredient. You can't put too much salt. You can't have too much flour. You know, everything is balanced. There's a certain temperature that they need to cook at, and for a certain time frame. You can't just put it in there and say, hey, 5 minutes, pull it out, or 20 minutes and pull it. Everything has a specific purpose, and it's what we stress here in the office. I am shocked that there's not more talked about Social Security and the taxation for that, right, and IRMA and required minimum distributions, all this that's waiting for them. And that's basically, it's almost like taking a recipe and going up to a higher elevation and thinking that you're going to be able to make it the same way with the same ingredients in the same oven. No, it's not going to work. It'll work. You'll get something out. It's just not going to taste good or be something you want. Correct?
It'll be absolutely terrible because we tried that. My dad is amazing at ribs, and I love his ribs. And so we were up in Colorado. We lived there for a little while, and he told me the recipe, and I made the recipe. I'm confident. I still am confident I made it the way he said. However, my ribs never tasted okay. They were tough and just terrible. I did make him come here and show it to me all the way through. I think there were some steps he forgot to tell me about, but I think it could be the elevation too, right?
Right. And that's really what happens. We elevate in retirement. You're finally where you've worked all your life to get to. And there's some things that you haven't been told about.
And again, if you don't have a plan, it's essentially a plan to fail. So as Rochelle says, get it on the calendar. If it's not next week, if it's not 2 weeks from now, put it on the calendar for a month from now. As long as you're making that appointment and you know that's the end goal is to get in and have this discussion. Again, if you call today, we'll do that custom financial needs analysis for you. That phone number right now, 918-890-8311. 918-890-8311. That website, of course, dimetodiamondsradio.com. Now, real quick, if you've been down through Main Street here, you've probably seen the office, again, right over the tavern there. A lot of folks probably have walked by and went, okay, I got it. Yeah, Phoenix Financial, okay. But what makes you guys stand out? What makes you different, Suzanne and Rochelle, from those other folks out there?
We're holistic and we listen. I'm not going to talk over you. I want to hear what is keeping them up at night. Correct, Rochelle?
100%. I mean, it goes back to the first conversations are, what is it that you want? How do you want this to look? What are your stressors? What information you tell us? And then we start thinking and pulling and looking and saying, oh, what about this? Or how do we do that? Or have you thought of this piece if you want to do X, Y, and Z? If you want to travel, have you thought about, are you extremely mobile? Are you starting to lose some of your mobility? Those different things that you and I have seen over the years.
It reminds me when the granddaughter, she'll bring over small puzzles, That's what it is to me. It doesn't seem like a Rubik's Cube. It doesn't seem like a 5,000 piece puzzle. It's about 15, 20 pieces. And I try to talk and not put it together, but I'm like, hold on just a minute. I'm going to put these pieces together. And that's what we do when somebody comes in and they're like, what do you charge? Nothing. Why are you doing this? This is a ministry to me. I am a woman of faith. You, out of all the millions of people in the world, you either heard on the radio, you came to a workshop, somebody refers you, you're here specifically at this time for this reason. I'm going to do what I do in my bus seat. I'm going to do this and put it together. If I can then help you, and there's, Jess, as we know, there's proprietary products that they can't get anywhere else, and that's where we're different. They can't go to a big box firm and get the products and the customer service that they get here. And that's what I try to tell people. I'm the boss, so I'm not going to I do what I want. I'm going to share and be open and say, hey, this is one of the areas I see that's a concern. And I've worked for the big companies. I worked for the big banks. I've done all that. And I felt very limited because I could see all the red flags coming up ahead of it for them. And so that's why I'm a big proponent of what gets you to retirement won't get you through retirement, because I've been on the to side. Hey, you need to invest here and do this and get your portfolio, all that. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm like, I can totally appreciate all those people that got you here. Now let's take the ball and let's run it over this way, because it's not gonna last as long. Those same theories, those same plans aren't going to carry you successfully through retirement. And that's where I see that taxation piece, and that's where you and I work together so well. I'm like, you definitely need to sit down and talk with Rochelle, or let me ask her to be here next appointment. Looks like you can save $7,000 to $8,000 on your retirement, on your tax returns right here. But you can talk to the expert. You can talk to the licensed agent.
Again, this is what it makes Suzanne and, of course, Phoenix Financial Group stand out. Rochelle, of course, a huge part of that tax conversation. And listen, this is so simple, guys. You come in, you go to the second floor there. You're going to walk in, you grab a bag of Suzanne's very famous popcorn. You sit back, you relax, you have a genuine conversation. I think that's so important. It's not just, you're not a number. You are, client Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You have grandkids here. This is what you're doing. It's building a relationship. It's not a transactional relationship. You're building an actual relationship. And that right there is crucial when it comes to trusting somebody with, literally your financial future, the biggest decision you'll ever make. If you'd like to sit down with Suzanne, again, begin this conversation, make it a priority, get it on the calendar. Again, it's complimentary. 918-890-8311, 918-890-8311. That website, dimetodiamondsradio.com. Coming up next, getting stability, confidence, and growth in retirement. We'll talk about it. Stay with us.
When you retire, the paycheck from your job will likely stop. But here's what won't stop: bills, taxes, and medical issues. Sure, there's Social Security, but that may not be enough. Suzanne Porsky and the team at Phoenix Financial can show you how to develop a new stream of income that can last as long as you live. Kind of like having your own personal pension. You won't have to worry about whether the market is up or down, or about who's sitting in the White House. You can spend your time instead on the things that matter, like family, friends, and doing the things you never had time to do before. Call Suzanne today at 918-890-8311. That's 918-890-8311, and schedule your custom income review at no charge to find out where you stand now and how Suzanne can help you build income in retirement. 918-890-8311 or online at dimetodiamondsradio.com.
Welcome to Willie's Wings, home of the secret sauce.
I'll take a dozen wings. Oh, by the way, I love that sauce. What's in it?
Can't tell you.
Why not?
It's a secret.
While many financial advisors claim to have the secret sauce, they don't. In fact, if their sauce is so good, why are they keeping it a secret? Suzanne Porsky of Phoenix Financial Group doesn't keep anything a secret. She knows there's much more to retirement planning than stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. She'll develop a strategy designed specifically for you. It's your own secret sauce for retirement. Call Suzanne Porsky at Phoenix Financial Group for your personal portfolio x-ray. Call 918-890-8311. That's 918-890-8311. Or online at dimetodiamondsradio.com.
Fine, you want to know what's in the sauce?
Absolutely.
Tablespoon of paprika.
Really?